what are some of the extremes intentions? So like on tour, I don't know if there's like a trend. I know back in the day they used to string pretty tight, and I'm sure they're looser these days. But who is, let's say, on the higher spectrum and the lower spectrum today on tour on the men's and women's side?
So on the men's side, the lowest is Manarino. He's always like 10 kilos.
How many pounds is that?
It's like 22 pounds.
I don't believe this though. How can he control a tennis board?
Yeah, but I mean, if you look at his stroke, it's like he just finesses everything anyway.
That's unbelievable.
Not like
22 pounds is crazy.
Yeah, and sometimes he's even lower. And Kukushkin is kind of
in what situation does he have to drop?
Yeah.
22.
Yeah.
I think it's too high.
Yeah, and then
Wow.
Kukushkin's kind of in that range too. He's usually a little bit higher than that, but he's another one. But he plays 18-20, and you know it's in a racket that. But if you watch him swing, you would never guess he's stringing that loose.
Yeah.
Because he's taking full cuts at the ball.
Have you ever strung for Daniel Nestor?
Yeah.
Because Taylor Dent, our previous coach, used to say that he would go to the tournament and ask the stringer, is this true?
Yeah.
He would ask the stringer, who's the lowest this week?
Yeah.
Go 1 pound lower.
Yeah.
No way. That's a true story.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No way.
Because I was in Miami one year. He walks up and he says that. And I'm standing right behind the guy at the desk. And the guy is like, I think it's Jack Saki's at 35 pounds. He goes, okay, let's do one.
Jack Sock was at 35 pounds?
Yeah.
And he said, let's go 34.
Yeah.
The guy's nuts.
The thing is, I string at 54, and I feel like if I play for 30 minutes, 45 minutes, the strings are just crazy loose. Like, they're just gonna... How...
Because you probably tie knots horribly.
But how, like, when they start at 30 pounds...
They have good stringers.
But on the other side of that, too, if you start off that low, it's not going to lose as much.
There's not as far to go.
Yeah, it's already there.
Yeah, and it's not stretched as much too, so I don't think it's going to lose as much.
Okay.
And I think what most people don't realize, like the difference between like if you did a racket at 50 and then one at 40, and if you really like got used to it and felt the difference after you played with it for a little while and got used to it, I think you're only getting a little bit more depth on your shots.
Yeah.
You're not getting like the ball's not going to. I mean, of course, if you hit off center. If you hit a bad shot, it's going to fly no matter what it is. Mm-hmm. But if you're hitting the ball good and hitting the ball clean, you're just going to get probably another 6 or 7 feet of depth. Okay. Maybe not even that. I think it's more of like a couple feet of depth you're going to get by dropping about 10 pounds. But it's just so hard. Like when you talk about feel and sound, right? Like it's going to feel a little different and it's going to sound different.
Yeah.
And pro players are so used to playing with whatever they've been playing with for so long. They're used to hearing a certain sound, and if it's different, it's not going to be right.
What's Manarino sound? Boing. That's terrible.
That's like, I remember Xavier Malisse, he played with the same string his entire career.
Sick player.
Yeah, and towards the end, we were talking to his coach, I think it was in DC one year at a tournament, and he's like, yeah, he goes, he could get Babolat Gut for free, and he could get RPM for free. And he played with it, and he goes, it was amazing. Like, he was hitting the ball so well, but he couldn't get used to the sound. It sounded different.
Wow.
What was he using?
He was using, what was it, Fiber Tour, like a Babolat, really cheap, like multi-filament string. Mm-hmm. Had like a pearl coating.
Okay.
And he had to buy it from him. And because they didn't make it anymore. So he would have to buy it. He would have to buy like 500 sets because they weren't going to make it except for him.
Yeah.
So he was paying for it, could have switched strings to a better string for free, but he couldn't get used to the sound.
That's interesting.
Yeah.
Have you noticed also as time has gone on with like rackets and I guess technology and string and stuff, has weights changed? Like swing weights and like how people want their rackets customized, has that changed over the years?
You know, I think it has. I think the old school mentality has been like super heavy. And I mean, if you talk like Pete Sampras and those guys, like extremely heavy rackets, but the strokes were a lot flatter too. There wasn't as many players that were trying to hit like Nadal.
Much more linear.
Yeah. And if you have a lot of mass and you get it moving forward, it's just going to keep going. You're going to be able to hit a big ball and not have to put a lot of effort into it as long as you get it moving forward. But guys that are trying to do like this and they're trying to whip up on the ball, if you have a lot of weight in the head, it's hard to do that. So I think that's probably been a big change. One of the things I've noticed in the last couple years, actually probably the last year and a half, is guys are going back to more of like 1820 rackets. Whereas there was a trend probably 5 or 6 years ago, everyone was playing like a pure drive, an arrow, a 16-19 blade. Everything was like either really wide open patterns. Whereas when I first started in 2009, everything was 1820. Like everything was. No one was playing with anything 16-19 except for like Roddick.
You think that could be because of the strings? Like the strings are getting better, like more powerful, so guys just want to control the ball more?
I think, it's interesting. I don't know. I think it kind of goes in phases, right? Like everyone tries the pure drive and is like, I can get so much power with this, and then you can get so much spin. And then
the grass is green on the other side. You want some more control.
Yeah. And then but I think it matters how you play. Like, someone like Alcaraz or Nadal or some of these guys that are hitting a ton of spin, a more open pattern seems to help. And even them, they're using like the 16-20 now, where they're getting kind of a little bit more control.
I always thought it was the opposite way around. I thought if someone has so much spin already, they need 18-20 to try and control the ball.
Yeah.
Which is why I think, like, I guess by your theory, it makes sense why Justin likes this racket so much. The racket he's using now. Like, I think this is, for as long as I've seen Justin play, I think this racket it looks the best, like, when he hits the ball.
Yeah.
And it's 16-19, no? Like, it complements what he already does well.
16-19 is thicker, and it's, like, a rounder
Yeah.
shape. It's,
And
it's 98, but it
in
looks
the past,
bigger.
I would say, I would never say to use that racket. I'd be like, that's a horrible racket. It's like, Justin hits the ball so hard, give him a control racket. But then now he's just like, it looks good,
It plays a little easier for me. I don't feel like I need to, like, destroy the ball. It kind of just goes on its own.
Yeah.
Have you ever tested Nadal's specs? Because I've heard people talk about how light the racket is, and I've heard other people say it's like tip weighted and it's not that light. Do you?
So I have, and when I did, the swing was pretty high. I think it was like 360.
Okay, so it's a man's racket.
But I think he's also one of those that's probably tweaked things. I know, like, he always played RPM 135 forever. Like, and I mean, with as much spin as he got.
Is there a thicker string than that?
No.
135?
There are, like, I think Luxilon, when Wilson had the spin rackets where they had like 14 mains and 16 crosses or whatever, 16, like when they had those rackets, they came out with like a 141. And then Mark Woodford played
with rope.
Yeah. But I think it was Woodford played with 161, but his racket was like 10 mains and 12 crosses.
Oh, wow.
But his string was really thick. It was a special made Luxilon string.
Okay.
But yeah.
So his swing weights are 360. Roughly.
Yeah.
And is the grip that small? Is it small?
Yeah. His is 3/8.
Oh, people.
I thought it was
They
small.
keep saying 4 1/4.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think but I think he's also, like, when he used to use 135, he switched to 130 for a little while, and now he's back. Last time I saw him, he was using 135 again. But I think he's probably experimented a little bit more over the years. Where I don't know if his racket's still super heavy. I mean, maybe he's dropped that. He's probably gone back and forth between grip sizes at some point, I would think.
Yeah.
But I'm almost positive it was a grip size 3. But again, I could be wrong.
And sorry, to go back to, we were talking about the extremes and string tensions. You said Manarino's on the low side, and who would be on the higher side?
Dustin Brown was really high.
Dustin Brown was always really high. The highest one is I can never pronounce her name right. She's a doubles player. It's Enrique. She wants us to string it as tight as the machine goes.
Which is
what?
Yeah.
Which is what?
88.
88?
Her rackets don't snap?
She wants it 90. Like, that's what she comes in and asks for 90. Well, like, it only goes to 88. And I think we can get it. Sometimes we can get.
What does she play with? What racket does she use?
She plays an ultra, so a powerful racket.
Okay.
Kind of like what you're playing with now.
88 pounds?
Yeah.
That's wood.
And she plays 4G, which is a string that holds tension, and it's a pretty stiff string.
She's serious about it.
Oh, and I mean, you would never.
She strings once a year.
Yeah, she does. She does every tournament. She does rackets for every match. Like, she does. I mean, she's not a huge stringer, but she's usually doing a racket a match for doubles. And but yeah, she always wants it as tight as the machine goes.
Thanks so much for watching this clip. The link for the full episode will be down below. Don't forget to like and subscribe so you don't miss any of our upcoming episodes.